بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وتقا وهدى يا أرحم الراحمين. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وإن خير الهدي هدي نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. So I think we stopped last time talking about the Dajjal, correct? Today we're going to talk about another mysterious figure mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf. Surprisingly, another mysterious figure that is mentioned in the surah that is also related with Al-Dajjal himself, right? Because we need to read Surah Al-Kahf each Friday in order for protection from Dajjal. And also in Surah Al-Kahf there is this mysterious guy, which is Al-Khidir. But before we start talking about that, we need to start talking about the roots of the story. So Musa alayhi salam was in Sinai with his people after they got lost in the city, in the Sinai Peninsula for around 40 years. So one time Musa alayhi salam was having a lecture, was having a khutbah, and he was talking to his people, and one of his people asked him, he said, Musa, who is the most knowledgeable person on earth? من له العلم من أكثر من هو له العلم في الأرض على وجه الدنيا. So Musa said with full, pure faith, he thinks he's the prophet, so who would succeed him as a prophet to have more knowledge? I mean, he's directly speaking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Musa said, I am the one who has the most knowledge in my era, during my time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke with Musa and he said, no, you are wrong. As we say in Arabic, ataba. He gave him some, not harsh words, but sort of, when somebody does something wrong, alright, and you love this person, you kind of give him some words of advice that are a little bit strict. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him some words of, strictness, and he said, no, you're not the only one who is with the most knowledge. There is some other person who has more knowledge than you. So Musa alayhi salam is confused, and he asks, okay, well, who is this person, Allah? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him about him. He says, this is Al-Khidir. So Musa alayhi salam asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell him where and when he can meet Al-Khidir, because he wants to learn from Al-Khidir. And this is something really beautiful about the prophets, even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophets, even though they have knowledge, even though they are directly, they have a relation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet they always seek knowledge. They're always trying to seek knowledge. But before we dive into the story, who is Al-Khidir? Who is this man? So, in fact, some scholars said that his name is Al-Khidir bin Adam. Some others said his name is Khidron bin Adam. So which means that he is the son of Adam, directly the son of Adam, alayhi salam, the father of humanity, the first human creature, Adam, the prophet. So, and what happened was that Adam alayhi salam, at his deathbed, he said that he wants to be buried at a certain spot, and whoever is going to bury me, I will do a dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extend his age. So when they were burying Adam alayhi salam, all of them kind of felt a little bit creeped out, a little bit scared. Because back then there were not too much humans, and then the place they were going to, it was a little bit far from where they were, so they were a little bit scared with the wilderness and all that. So they all said, okay, no, we're not going to do it. But this man, Al-Khidir. And he grabbed Adam's body, or Adam's corpse, and the tomb of Adam, and he buried it. And thus, the dua that Adam made, it came upon Al-Khidir. So Al-Khidir now has an extended age, and he was able to meet Musa. So that's one saying. The other saying is that he is the brother of Ilyas, the other prophet, Ilyas alayhi salam. And in fact, Some people say even Ilyas alayhi salam he also has an extended age, and he still lives till this day. Another claim said that Al-Khidir is the prophet Irmiya bin Khalqa, one of the prophet of the Israelites. But the one with the most logical approach was that he comes from a father who is Persian and a mother who is Roman, and he was the vizier of Dhul Qarnayn. We remember Dhul Qarnayn from Surah Al-Kahf. In Surah Al-Kahf, the story of Dhul Qarnayn is mentioned, in which he goes into the eastern side of the earth and then the western side of the earth, and he's the ruler of the world. And Prophet ﷺ said there are 4 people who ruled over the world. 2 were mu'min, believers, and 2 were disbelievers. And among the 2 who were believers was Dhul Qarnayn and Sulaiman alayhi salam. And the disbelievers were An-Namrud and Nabucodonosor. Inshallah, we're going to know who's Nabucodonosor. It's going to come over soon, inshallah. So the one that is for sure is that Al-Khidir is actually the vizier of Dhul Qarnayn. And we talked about Dhul Qarnayn previously in one of the lectures, if you remember. So what happened, I'm going to recite the story, however, is that Dhul Qarnayn and Al-Khidir, they met with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Right? When we were talking about the story of Ibrahim, they met Ibrahim when Ibrahim was in Mecca, and he finished building Al-Kaaba, and he called for Al-Hajj. And then Dhul Qarnayn, at that point, he became Muslim. He believed in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Al-Khidir was with him. And some scholars said that Al-Khidir actually is a prophet. So we don't know for sure, but they say, the way he was speaking in the ayahs in Surah Al-Kahf, in which وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ مِنْ أَمْرِي ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. I did not do this from my own, own will. It was ordered to me. So the prophets are the ones who get revelation, right? So from this, some scholars said, he got revelation, hence he is a prophet. So, there are some people who said Dhul Qarnayn is a prophet. So those 2 figures, we really don't know if they were prophets or not for 100% sure. However, there was one story in which when Dhul Qarnayn, do you remember when in the Surah Al-Kahf, it says, Ayn Hamia, at the spring that is a little bit, it's shiny there because the sun is setting at the horizon, so it reflected the sun. So in fact, this was beyond what is known as Bahr al-Dhulumat, fi ard al-Dhulumat. This is literally the term, the description of that incident from the source that I got. So basically, Bahr al-Dhulumat back then was the name of the Atlantic Ocean, which means the dark sea, or the sea of darkness. So if you say the land of darkness, which means that this is behind the sea of darkness, what is the land that lays behind the Atlantic Ocean? The Americas. So we don't know, but maybe Dhul Qarnayn and Al-Khidir reached America, reached the 2 continents, the New World. And this is where the spring is. And that spring is called the spring of life, Ayn al-Hamia, the spring of life, in which whoever drinks from it, he gets his life, he has extension in his life. He gets his life extended, so he lives for longer. And the story goes that Dhul Qarnayn was looking for it, but Al-Khidir found it before him, and he drank from it, so he was able to get his age extended. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so much knowledge, and he lived to meet with Musa alayhi salam. Now, let's go back and to the point where Musa and Al-Khidir met. So Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, "Oh Allah, can I please meet this man, Al-Khidir? I want to learn more about, the things that I don't know. Al-Khidir knows things I don't know, and I'm a prophet, and I talk to you. I want to learn those things he knows and I don't." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Go get a well." And obviously it's going to be a corpse, so it's a dead well. And tie him with a rope and start, taking him wherever you go until you're going to reach a rock, and there, keep it there. If the whale goes away, then this is the spot you are going to meet Al-Khidir. So Musa went with Yusha ibn Nun. Yusha ibn Nun was, you can think of him as he's hired, the person who would lead the Israelites after him. He's right-hand man. And Musa alayhi salam and Yusha ibn Nun were going through the deserts of Sinai. In the surah it says, Majma' al-Bahrain, the assembly of both of the seas. So if you look at the map, okay, we have two gulfs, right? We have the Gulf of Sinai here, and what do we have here? We have the Gulf of Aqaba. Also here we have the Mediterranean Sea, and here we have the Red Sea. All of these are connected where? In Sinai. So, Wallahu A'lam, it is this spot, according to many scholars actually who interpreted this, they said Sinai is the place where they met. It's Majma' al-Bahrain, because this is where both of the sea of the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea are meeting, and even the Gulf of Sinai and Gulf of Aqaba are meeting. So this is the most logical explanation for where the place of meeting was. So Musa alayhi salam, he started grabbing the whale, wherever he was going with, while Yusha ibn Nun was with them. And they wanted to just take a rest, they wanted to sleep, so they laid on a rock and they slept there. Now some scholars said that the spring of life is also present beneath that rock in Sinai, and that the whale touched it, so the whale now became alive again with the, of course, with the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the whale was able to go into the sea. So Musa alayhi salam and Yusha ibn Nun woke up, and Musa asked Yusha ibn Nun, he said, "Can we get some food? I'm starving." So Yusha proceeds into cooking food, and they're eating and having fun. And then they started going through their journey again to find Al-Khidir. But then Musa realizes, hey, wait, we forgot about something. Yusha ibn Nun says, "What's up? What did we forget?" So Musa alayhi salam looks and he says, "Okay, we forgot the whale. The giant thing that we've been grabbing for the whole past days, we forgot that." Okay, we did not even notice. This is where Musa says, وَمَا أَنْسَانِيهُ إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانِ. Right? Imagine this. This is like a huge animal, right? And you've been grabbing it for days. How could you forget about that? Right? I bet it's heavy. So how could you forget about that? So Musa here states that sometimes not forgiveness, when you forget something, it is from shaitan. He's trying to make you forget about something. So Musa realized this is what we want, right? And he told Yusha, "Don't worry, don't stress out. We don't need to find the whale. This is exactly what we want. We want him to disappear. This is the spot that we're meeting Al-Khidir." So they went and turned back to where they slept at the rock, and there they found a man. He was bound to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was wearing some good clothes, and it was Al-Khidir. Why was he called Al-Khidir? Some sources have claimed that he was called Al-Khidir because every spot he would sit on, he would turn into a green land. So he would go to a desert and he would sit there, and it would turn into green. SubhanAllah, because of his blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Al-Khidir meets with Musa, they shake hands, "Hello, nice to meet you," and he tells him, "I am Musa." So Al-Khidir tells him, "You are Musa of the Israelites." And Musa tells him, "Yes, correct, I am Musa of the Israelites." And Al-Khidir tells him, "It is nice to meet you. What you're seeking? What do you want?" Musa says, "I want from your knowledge. I want to learn from you." So Al-Khidir says, "You have knowledge that I'm not allowed to know, and I have knowledge that you're not allowed to know." So yet Musa still had some knowledge that Al-Khidir did not know. So then they were turning, and then a bird came to the sea, and then the bird with the, what do you call it, the pod? The peak, thank you. With the peak of the bird, with his peak, he took some of the water, just like a quick touch into the water. So imagine what is the amount that bird took. Probably like even less than a drop. So Al-Khidir turns to Musa and says, did you see that bird? Did you see how much he took from the water? And then Musa said, yes. And he said, the amount he took from water, this less than a drop, this is my knowledge and your knowledge combined from this whole sea that the bird took. So just this one less than a drop, this is the knowledge of Musa and the knowledge of Al-Khidir combined. So if the Prophet Musa and this man Al-Khidir was blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their knowledge is literally like that. What about our knowledge then? What is our knowledge then? So at this point, they started, walking through the shore, talking about what's going on. Musa telling him about what's up, like what happened with Fir'aun, all of that. And so they were approached by a boat or a ship. And then they asked them to go within the ship, to go on top of the ship with them, sail with them. So they said, the crew of the ship, they looked at each other, they said, okay, this is Al-Khidir, we're not going to say no to him. And so they let him in. So they were able to recognize Al-Khidir, they were not able to recognize Musa. So who's this man? So while they were sailing, suddenly Musa notices that Al-Khidir starts to remove certain wood sticks from the ship, and it's corrupting the ship. He starts to corrupt it. So Musa tells him, what are you doing? These people let us on the ship, they're helping us, we're sailing, and by the way, we were on this ship, so if it sinks, we sink too. What are you doing? So Al-Khidir, I forgot to tell you, before they went on the journey, Al-Khidir told Musa, I will allow you to come with me, but under one condition, which is you do not ask me any question until I tell you. So Al-Khidir reminds him, he tells him, hey, didn't I tell you not, to ask me any question? Didn't I tell you that you're not going to have patience? Because you're not allowed to have the knowledge I have. You're not going to, it's just there. It's just prevented. There's a barrier. You can't go beyond this barrier. It was set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Musa apologizes and he says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it again. And he tells them, okay. And they proceed. So they leave the ship, and while they're leaving, they approach a young boy. So Al-Khidir goes to him, and the young boy was playing with other kids. And Musa thinking this guy is going to go there and be like, oh, you're such a cute boy, and hey, how are you? But he's just shocked with what's going to happen. Instead of him going to say, hey, how are you, little cute boy, he smashes him, and he literally breaks his neck. He kills the boy. So Musa is like, what? What do you do? What did you do? You should not kill. That's clear. That's clear. That is a clear rule by Allah. We should not kill anybody. Why did you kill a young boy? And then Al-Khidir looks at him and says, didn't I tell you you don't have patience? Didn't I tell you you're not allowed to have the knowledge I have? So Musa says, okay, I'm sorry. This time, if I ask you again, anything else, all right, that's it. You can't leave me on. We can't leave each other. That's it. I'm not going to continue the journey with you. In order to fulfill his promise. And so they went near a village. And in that village, they wanted some food and drinks. So they approached the people of the village and asked them for some food and drinks, but the people were cheap. They said, no, we're not going to give you food or drink. And every time they knocked the door, they would close the door on their face and kick them out. So they left the village, and while on their way out, they found a corrupted wall. A fence or a corrupted wall, yeah, a corrupted fence, sort of. So Al-Khidir started fixing it and rebuilding it, remodeling it. So Musa tells them, hey, if you want to do that, at least, you could ask them for something. You can ask them for money. You can ask them for food, drink. Like, they treated us really bad, and you're not going to do this for free. Like, why are you doing this? So Al-Khidir here tells him, he looks at him and he says, هذا فراق بيني وبينك. All right, now this is the separation. All right, you promised me 3 times, and in each time you forgot your promise. So that's it. You're done. So Musa understands this, but then Al-Khidir tells him, would you like me to tell you why I did these 3 things? Musa tells him, of course, I want to learn. So Al-Khidir says, okay, as for those people who we sailed with, the reason why I corrupted their boats, because there is a king that sails throughout the Mediterranean Sea, and every ship that he finds appealing to him, he steals the ship, and he takes the crew and he enslaves them or kills them. So I protected these guys from this king. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give them something better, inshallah. And they were just like a bunch of poor salesmen. This is like their only job. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me this in order to protect them. He wants to protect them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for the kid was a mushrik, he was a disbeliever. And he used to cause agony for his parents. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want the kid to grow up a disbeliever and go to hell. And he did not want the kid also to, let agony be literally the life of his parents. He wanted to have mercy upon the parents. So this was the best case. The kid goes to heavens because he's a kid. He died before hitting puberty. And the parents would not feel agony. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give them another child in exchange for this one who got killed. As for the third incident in which he rebuilt or they remodeled the fence, he said that in the village there were 2 orphaned young men. And their father, in Arabic when we say ab, we also mean grandparents. So some scholars said it was actually their 7th grandparent, their 7th grandfather. Some others said it's their 10th grandfather. And others said that's their father directly. But either way, this tells you like a moral story, which if you do good in your life, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to send somebody who would not just help you personally, he would help your children and your descendants. So basically, if you help others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to send somebody who would help you and help your descendants, dhurriyatak. So he said that he was a good person, he used to help others. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me, as a reward for this person, we're going to help his descendants by building this wall, this fence, so it can protect the treasure beneath it, which belonged to these orphans. So nobody takes the treasure, and when they grow up, they can take this treasure and live off it. And then at the end he says, وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَنْ أَمْرِي ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. I did not do this from my own knowledge. I did not do this from my own doing. I was ordered to do it. So now raises the question: is Al-Khidir alive or is he dead? So let's start with the dead one, because the evidence is very out there. It's put out there. So first, there is an ayah in the Quran that literally says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا بِمَعْنَى الْآيَةِ, I believe, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ. I don't want to quote the ayah, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but basically it means that we did not let any human being who lived before you, we did not give him extension age in order for him to live that long, like 500 years, 700 years. And also, the Prophet ﷺ said that أَعْمَارُ أُمَّتِي مَا بَيْنَ السِّتِّينَ وَالسَّبْعِينَ, right? So the people of my nation, they're going to live between 70 and 60 years, right? So if this man is alive, the incident that occurred between him and Musa was literally around 3,000 years ago. So since then until now, he's probably 3,000 years ago, and if he's been there since Ibrahim, that's like another 2,000 or 1,000 years. So this man could be like 5,000 years old. So that's like very radical. It's like way out there, you know, very logical. So this is one of the evidences or like the opinions why he is not alive. Another thing is that they say, so Prophet ﷺ, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said that if Musa ﷺ was resurrected again, if he was living among us, he would be obligated to follow him. So Musa ﷺ would be tasked with following the Prophet ﷺ. He is no more the Prophet. The Prophet Muhammad would be the Prophet. And Musa has to follow the Prophet ﷺ and the teachings of the Prophet. So they say that if Al-Khidir is alive, then that's not an exception for him. This means that he should come and, embrace Islam in the hands of the Prophet. He, of course, could have met with the Prophet. Also that during the battles of Badr and Uhud, of course, he would have joined, and etc. So these are like the major evidence in which, like, why is he not alive? Some people said he like literally died just like few years after meeting Musa. So what about him living? There were actually recorded incidents of people meeting him. I mean, this is how it was narrated to us. And again, narration is through recurrence. So we have different people telling each different people, you know. So we don't know, we need like to check who is telling who, and we need to know the authenticity of some of those people who are telling. So the first incident was with Ali radiallahu anhu, in which he met with Al-Khidir. And Al-Khidir taught him few words, to how to say dhikr. He told him to say La ilaha illallah. Another incident is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, I think the 5th caliph of the Umayyads. He was the 5th caliph of the Umayyads, I believe. Before he became a caliph, before he became the king, he was walking alongside a man, an old man, and his companion was observing them from like a distance. And then they started talking and all that, and then suddenly this man disappeared. So the companion goes to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and he tells Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, he asks him, who's that man who was with you? So Umar ibn Abdul Aziz asks him, he tells him, did you see the guy? Did you see the man I was walking with? So he says, yes. So Umar ibn Abdul Aziz says, I think then you are one of the good men, and ahadun min as-salihin. You know, you're one of the good men, the awliya, the people who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the companion asked, he said, okay, well, why do you think that? Who's that man? And he said, that man is Al-Khidir. It's rare for anybody to meet him unless he is somebody who is good. You know, he's close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, there are claims that there is in Syria, in Damascus city, there is, if you heard about it, mountain Qasiyun, Jabal Qasiyun. So Damascus, it is literally surrounded by mountains, all right? And the great mountain that literally, if you stand on top of it, you can see the whole city. It's called Mountain Qasiyun, Jabal Qasiyun. In this mountain, there is a little cave. It's called Magharat al-Dam, the cave of the blood, in which we talked earlier about it during the early episodes of the lecture, in which we said that it was said that Qabil killed Habil there in Damascus, or in Bilad al-Sham generally. And this Maghara, this cave, the reason why it existed was that the mountain was so shocked that this was the first killing in humankind, that this is like the mouth of the mountain basically. And the reason why it's called Magharat al-Dam, because if you go into it, it's present till this day. You can literally go to the mountain, to Jabal Qasiyun in Syria, and like visit it. People visit it like there all the time. The reason why it's called that, because it's covered with blood. And they say that this blood is the blood of Habib. Till this day it still exists. And that the mountain till this day is still crying from the incident. Because if you go to the cave, it's always like raining, you know, some water from the ceiling, leaking some water from the ceiling. Even though like it's not raining outside, there's no reason for like people just are confused with why this water is leaking. So they say this is actually the tears of the mountain crying in Habib, because this is the first killing incident. So they say that Al-Khidir, he would go there, visit this cave regularly. He would visit it regularly. Others say that he and Ilyas, remember we said that Ilyas alayhi salam, some people say he's also alive, that him and Ilyas would meet each year, they would fast, and they would go to Mecca to do Hajj each year. And there are like many incidents of like people who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who would meet with Al-Khidir. There's actually one incident in which I'm going to actually talk about two incidents. But before I talk about it, that they say that, so remember last time when I was talking about the Samri, right? I said that sometimes in history, maybe some figure that appears, that is mysterious, like the figure that we talked about, which was Al-Jaman, right? We did mention this character, right, in history, who appeared in 1710. And then he was assumed dead in like 1784 before the French Revolution. But again, he was witnessed in 1820, and again he was witnessed in 1970. The same person, the same description, all of that. So people speculated, they said that's probably a Samiri, who is probably a Dajjal, his task is to be a mysterious figure, who's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him an extension in his age. And this man, his only task is to corrupt and misguide people. People say that like the French Revolution, it was actually manipulated. Like it was not like a people's revolution. There were like evil people behind it and all of that conspiracy theorist stuff. But this is what some people say, and they say like this man has to do with it, etc. So the same idea. They say that there is also a figure who is mysterious, who also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him extension in his age, but this one is a good person, he's not a bad person. He comes to guide you, he comes to help you, not to misguide you. So one of the incidents is that there were a bunch of elderly men, like during the Khilafah time. One of the people were like politicians, basically, like Congress, the Congress of back then. In the Muslim world, and they were meeting to discuss an issue, and the issue was really, it was very complicated. They were not able to find a solution for it. So they were really confused what to do. And suddenly, an old man comes into the room, comes from nowhere. He's wearing like white clothes. He has like gray hair. And he comes over and he tells them the solution is this, and he leaves and vanishes. They go outside trying to find him, disappear. So some people say in this incident, this was Al-Khidir. And he came to help those people. Another incident, which was actually a personal experience by someone, I heard, this person, their father, he was in very bad health situation, and they were put in hospital, and they did not know what would cure, like what medications they need to give him. And so she was really confused. She went to the pharmacy, etc. And while she is leaving the pharmacy, an old man with the same description, like the thing is that it has the same description of the same person. An old man with gray hair and wearing white, he approaches her and he tells her, go get the medication of such and such and such, this will cure your father. He came from nowhere, he vanished, he disappeared. He left from nowhere. The woman was confused. She did follow the advice and it worked. So also in this incident, some say this is Al-Khidir. So basically scholars and all who talked about this, that Al-Khidir exists, and of course he exists, I mean he's still alive, they say that Al-Khidir may encounter you And you may never realize that. That sometimes you may have somebody approaching you, an old man or something like that, and you have really a bad situation, and then this man gives you like a solution, to that case, and that this is Al-Khidir, basically. So Allahu A'lam, we don't know, the authenticity of this. We don't know if this is real or not. I mean, until we actually physically meet with this person. And according to what I've read, that people who met with him, there are like requirements like that. You need to be really close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like very, 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 very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to meet him. And this is like a specialty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give you. So Wallahu A'lam, if he's alive or not. The last thing about whether he's alive or not is that there's a hadith regarding the end of times. So we all know that Dajjal, he's not able to come to Mecca or Medina, right? Some other scholars also said that even Jerusalem, Al-Quds, and Jabal al-Tur, he's not able to go there. He would not be able to go there. But anyways, we're concerned with the Medina part. So when he goes to Medina, I think I said that last time, he walks on top of Mount Uhud, Jabal Uhud, he stands there, he can't go in, the angels are guarding it, and then he looks down there and he tells his people, do you see this white palace? And they say yes, and he says, this is the palace of Muhammad. And obviously he's referring to Masjid al-Nabawi. And I mean, think about this hadith is sahih, think about it. Like, white palace, if you look at the pictures of the Masjid al-Nabawi today, it literally looks like a white palace. So how close are we to that? So really think about this. But anyhow, when he is about to leave Medina, a person gets out of Medina and approaches a Dajjal, and he challenges a Dajjal. He tells him, hey, listen, I don't believe you're God. So a Dajjal tells him, what if I resurrected your parents alive again, made them alive again? And he said, no, that will make me believe more that you are the person that the Prophet ﷺ said you are a Dajjal. And he said, okay, so he cuts him into two halves, and then he resurrects him again, back alive. And he says, see, I resurrected you back again into life, which means I'm God. And he tells him, now I know for 100% sure that you're not God because of this. And so he kills him, the Dajjal kills him. So some people said that this man is actually Al-Khidir, and this is when he dies. Like that's the incident when he dies. Dajjal kills him. So Wallahu A'lam. Okay, so I promised you last time that we're going to talk about the staff of Musa, the ring of Sulaiman, the tomb, and all of that, those, and the sphere. Okay, so the staff of Musa alayhi salam, it was said that his staff actually, it was one of the items that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Adam when he kicked him out of heavens. And basically the staff is an item from heaven. And there's like a special secret about this staff. Where is the staff? The staff, some people say also the original, al-wah, the stones that were given to Musa alayhi salam. Other valuable belongings, basically treasures, including the ring of Sulaiman. All of these are within the tomb. Tabut al-Sakina, as we call it in Islam, Tabut al-Sakina. And it's mentioned in the Quran, the Tabut, this tomb. And this tomb was carried by Banu Israel everywhere they go. And this tomb for them acted as like something for luck. It was something holy for them. And we're going to talk about an incident regarding the tomb. So the tomb contained really important treasures, as I said, like the staff of Musa, etc. Now, where is this tomb today? This is why, the Zionists are concerned with digging beneath Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, because it is said that the tomb is actually buried beneath Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. So they want to extract it out. And as I said, this tomb is really of high value to the Jewish faith and to the Israelites, because whenever they had it, they would be victorious. There was like correlation with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with this tomb. It was like a blessing to them. So this was like a special thing for them, so they think today if they have they have this out, they're going to be blessed again because they have the belongings of the prophets. Another thing of it was the ring of Sulaiman. The ring of Sulaiman, it contained a special, what do you call it, special symbol. Some say it was like a 6-pointed star, basically the Star of David. And some say it is just a 5-pointed star, right? Which is depicted in modern day the flag of Morocco. If you look at the flag of Morocco, you're going to find there's like a 5-pointed star, right? So the Kingdom of Morocco, when you see the description of the flag, they claim that this represents the ring of Sulaiman, the symbol that was on the ring of Sulaiman. So the ring of Sulaiman was given to Sulaiman by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say it was given to him in order for him to control al-jinn, to control them. This was the reason why he was able to control them and enslave them and let them work for his own will. And when he lost it, he can't control them no more. So obviously he did not. But what happened is it got hidden. So basically they say that if you were able to regain the ring of Sulaiman and put it, you will be able to control al-jinn. And remember when I said at Dajjal, with the incident of the maybe guy who would be Al-Khidir, he said that I would resurrect your parents back again. He can't resurrect his parents back again, but what he's going to do is that he would tell the jinn to come in the form of his parents. So he thinks that's their parents. So Wallahu A'lam, this is why also they're trying to find it. Because a Dajjal may find this ring and be able to put it on and control al-jinn. So this is also one of the special things. What else did we say that we're going to talk about? It was the staff, the tomb, and the ring, and the sphere. Okay, so if you look at paintings, since the ancient times, all right, you're always going to find they're touching sort of like a globe, right? A sphere, right? Can you recall images of during the medieval times of important figures just holding a globe? Okay, so now some people say there are 3 of those, and they are spheres from heaven, 3 globes from heaven, artifacts from heaven that were also given to Adam, and that they can be used in order to spread a positive, a positive spirituality sort of things. It was this is literally what the Sheikh said, regarding this. There is I don't want to get into the spiritualities and stuff like that because it can be really complicated. But basically, there is something around the human being, the physical human being. In Arabic, I think it's called hala. And this basically is the activity of your spirituality, of your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And science were able to I think figure it out or something with extra visions, radioactive visions and stuff like that. And they were able to see some people had dark things around them. Those were not close to Allah. Some people had it white, light colored, right? Those were close to Allah and such. So these spheres were used to spread positive and negative energy in order to misguide and guide people. I know this sounds like Aladdin or something like that, but I mean, this is what they were mentioning in all texts and such. And so they said that there is 3 of those spheres. One is currently in Geneva, and that it is being used for energizing a project that people say they're going to use this project in order to, they call it Shu'a al-Azraq, basically, the blue laser, and in which they want to do a holograms, huge holograms that would be reflected into the sky when a Dajjal comes out, and that basically in India, they would like show the Hindus like gods, you know, like Vishnu and such, and like in the Buddhist countries, they would show like Buddha, and like in the Muslim world, they would show like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and then like in the Christian world, they would show Jesus, and like all of them like holograms basically. That's not like, obviously not the real them, and holograms that would be programmed to say, worship Ad-Dajjal because he is your God. This is like what is being said, like it's being used to energize this. What's really noticeable about this, what's interesting about this is that beneath the same area where this bowl or this sphere is supposed to be, there's a huge project going on regarding like reconstructing a black hole within Earth. Basically, I think it was related to like fusion something. I can't recall the name, but this is occurring in Geneva and between Geneva and Switzerland and France, basically. The other sphere, they say it is in Eilat, which is in southern of Palestine today, and the third one is literally like it's like moving around. They take it from place to place. And do we all remember in 2017 the Islamic American Summit? There was like that picture that freaked everybody out, in which like the leaders, like the Muslim leaders, the King of Saudi Arabia and the President of Egypt, and then President of the United States, they were like putting their hands on a sphere, like a globe. I don't know if people recall that. I think if you search it, you can find it online. So they say this is the globe. This is exactly what we saw. That was the globe, and they moved it there in order, you know, to spread negative energy and such. And subhanallah, like interestingly, after this incident, like after this whole thing, a lot of bad things happened there. So Allahu A'lam. I personally don't know if this is real or not. I'm just passing the word. You know, it's always good to like have different perspectives and such, and try to expand our thoughts, you know, that this world, it's not just, you know, black and white. It does contain really strange things. It really indeed does contain strange things. If you read, for instance, this is unbelievable, I know, but if you read the book of, for instance, Ibn Battuta, who was a very famous traveler, you will find really strange creatures that he met and strange things that he saw. So the world we live in, it's not the materialistic thing we see. You know, there are beyond. I mean, there are jinn. If there are jinn, this means there are crazy things out there. So, and وَيَخْلُقُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ eventually, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the creator, and He creates everything. So, Wallahu a'lam, I personally don't know. I don't believe it. I believe it. I don't believe it. I don't know. But I'm just passing this. So these were like the strange items that supposedly came from heavens. And this is why today they're like, as I said, the Zionists are very desperate to like dig beneath Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, because they claim the temple is there, their temple, even though their temple is literally Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. And that there is the tomb, the treasure, containing all of these that we talked about. Besides, of course, the globe. But, Wallahu A'lam, there's also, by the way, a treasure beneath Mecca, beneath Al-Kaaba. And this treasure won't be out, and we're never probably going to see it, inshaAllah, because this is going to occur, this incident is going to occur when there's literally no Islam on earth. Like, nobody is following Allah no more, like worshiping Allah no more. Like, people are worshiping Allah and Al-Uzza again. They're worshiping like idols again. That's like in the end of times. A man from Ethiopia, his name is That Suwayqitain, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned him in a hadith. He's going to come to Mecca and he's going to destroy the Kaaba. And he's going to take out the treasure that is beneath the Kaaba. So maybe the tomb is that treasure. Wallahu a'lam, we don't know, because, by the way, many of the prophets, including Adam alayhi salam, they are buried beneath the Kaaba. They are buried literally beneath the Kaaba. So, Wallahu a'lam. Alright, so how much time? Okay. So inshallah, let's move on to continue with the story of Musa. In Surah Al-Baqarah, we all know Surah Al-Baqarah, right? Why is it called Surah Al-Baqarah? After the incident of Al-Baqarah, which is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Musa alayhi salam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً. Right? So they were still in their tea, basically. And just heads up, during all of Musa alayhi salam's life, they remained in the tea. They remained lost in Sinai. They were not able to get out of Sinai during the life of Musa. So Musa died and they're still lost in Sinai. So while they were lost in Sinai, there was a man who had some sort of wealth. He was like wealthy, basically. If you were asking how they live, they are basically nomads and like they built tents. I mean, and obviously, eventually they built like buildings and stuff. So one of them, he had a lot of wealth. And he had many nephews. And his nephews, they wanted his wealth. They wanted to take his wealth. And so they were waiting for the moment he dies. So one night, one of his nephews sneaks in and kills the man. He kills his uncle. And he puts his uncle's corpse in like the middle of the city. So like, he pretends like I did not do it, So, and then he like goes to the funeral of his uncle, what do we say in Arabic? We have this proverb, yeah, he killed him and he went to his funeral, basically. So this is what he did. But the people of Israel wanted to know who was the killer of this man, right? And then the other nephews really wanted to know. So they went to Musa alayhi salam and they asked him to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell them who was the killer. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he told Musa, tell your people to go and kill a cow, slaughter a cow, and they're going to know who's the killer. That's simple, right? Like probably there are like millions and millions of cows out there. That's really simple. Why would you need more information? Why would you make it difficult on yourself? Literally, they went back to Musa instead of saying, okay, all right, we're going to go and kill some cow, and we're going to come, and that's it, everything is solved. No, they went and said, hey, what's the color of the cow? So Allah said, okay, all right, you want to play this game? I told you something easy, and you want to, okay, all right. The color of the cow is bright yellow. Good luck. All right? And it's rare to find, I don't think there's, I literally, while I was preparing this lecture, I literally searched yellow cow on Google, and everything was Photoshop. I don't even think that exists. All right? So he literally told them, bright yellow cow. This is what you're finding. So it's already tough. They don't stop there. I don't know. I really don't understand how they think. It just really makes me frustrated. Since last lecture, it just makes me frustrated. Like, why are you doing this? Like, just go with So instead of, it's already difficult, and we're trying to find a yellow cow now, they go and ask, what's the size of it? Okay? And Allah says, it's big. Good luck. Alright? And instead of stopping there, I really don't understand their mentality. Instead of stopping there, they go and say, what's the age of the cow? I mean, are you looking to marry her or something? Like, it's just a cow. Go kill it, and you're gonna get the killer. You're not gonna socialize with the cow. So they kept asking questions, and it became more difficult to them. To the point where they became hesitant to even kill the cow in the first place. So Ibn Abbas said that if they just literally did not ask all of these questions and make it difficult on them, and just literally killed any cow, that's it. It would have been just solved. And we use this today as an example, even to us Muslims, that the Jews, in their religion, there are a lot of things that are harsh on them. Like for instance, they don't eat lobster, right? Lobster only, or shrimp and like lobster. I think anything beneath the sea.
Shell.
Yeah, shells and stuff. They don't eat that. But in our religion, anything under the sea is halal. Literally anything. Yeah, I don't know about sharks. I'm not a thing, but literally anything. So you can see like the differences, right? Why? Because they're the ones who make it hard on themselves. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them something, they don't follow it, or they ask too much, or just follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, right? So anyways, they found the cow eventually. And when they wanted to kill it, they were like, you know what, never mind, let's keep it alive. So, you want to know who's the killer of the cow? Excuse me. You want to know? They frustrated me, seriously. You want to know who was the man who killed the uncle? You were told to kill a cow. You asked too much questions. It became very difficult. You spend probably, I don't know, I really don't know how much time. That's really difficult to find. So probably years finding this cow. And when you found it, when you find it, you don't just slaughter it and do what you're asked. No, you actually just be like, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to do it. Like, really? So of course, Musa convinced them that, hey, you're going to know who murdered the guy. So they're like, okay, we're going to kill it. So all of this was literally just for them to kill the cow, take the rib, one of the rib or the thigh of the cow, hit it on the corpse of the man so it can be resurrected. All of this was just for this. They could have done it like, it could have been just very simple. And so this wasn't evident by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because remember last time we said that they told Musa, literally after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave them from worshipping the cow, they told him, we're not going to believe in you until you show us Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent like a punishment on them, killing those people who said that. And Musa asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their forgiveness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mercy on them and He resurrected them again. Alright? So, the man was resurrected. This is an evidence that there is a God, right? Like, hey, so this man was dead. You hit him with like, I don't know, part of a cow's body and he's alive now. If this happens in front of you, what do you think? I mean, most likely we're going to fall unconscious, but imagine like a dead corpse rising, what is it, zombie? But like, this means something. A God exists. So that was like an evidence for them. And the guy spoke, Musa told him, asked him, he said, who killed you? And he said, my nephew. So the punishment should occur, right? This man should be punished. What did they do? They try not to punish him. So their story is really frustrating. Like betrayals all the time, unfortunately. And this is why they had it tough. They were divided all the time, which led to their exile, basically. 2,000 years of exile, as they say. And they got persecuted and humiliated because they made it tough on themselves. It could have been simple. Finally, inshallah, let's end with this. How much time do we have? 3 minutes? Okay, let's end with this because I think this is like really, really powerful. Musa alayhi salam, again, he was lecturing, talking to these people. So these people said, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sleep? They asked if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sleeps. So Musa told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, go and get 2 bottles, glass bottles, and pray during the night. And let's see what happens. So Musa did that. Excuse me. So he had 2 glass bottles, holding them while he was praying. So he got really, really sleepy that he fell. He can't control himself no more. He's really sleepy. He fell, and those bottles almost were gonna fall. So he caught him with his thighs, and he was able to catch them. And then he became very sleepy. He fell asleep. He fell to the floor. The bottles fell to the floor, broke down. When he woke up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, did you see what happened with the bottles? He said, yes. He said, this is what's going to happen to the heavens and earth if I sleep. So the reason why everything in this world is organized and constructed very precisely because I never sleep. If I sleep, you guys won't be existing. Basically. Subhanallah. Lillahi al-mulk wa lillahi al-majd wa lillahi al-'azama. Inshallah, we're going to stop here today. Jazakumullahu khairan. Inshallah, next time we're going to talk about, most likely we're going to finish the story of Musa. We're going to talk about Qarun alayhi salam. Sorry, not Qarun alayhi salam. I got mixed with Harun, the brother of Musa. Qarun, the man who basically the rich man who was injustice with the people. I apologize, it did not mean alayhi salam. It was meaning Harun, because they have similar names. And probably going to talk about the death of Musa alayhi salam, and probably Yusha bin Nun. Jazakumullahu khairan. Do we have any questions? I think yes.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who came first, Al-Khidir or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Khidir or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Who came first, Al-Khidir or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Al-Khidir.
Okay, so there is ayah they say, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ الْخُلْدَ.
Right.
That's the يعني the دليل يعني الخضر انه ميت.
Yes.
وهناك دليل اخر قال الله عز وجل كل نفس ذائقة الموت. والشيء الثالث كدليل لو كان الخضر حي لاتبع محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Exactly.
وقاتل معه.
Yeah.
لانه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان مبعوث للانس والجن.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Remember the ayah I was telling you? This is the ayah that, thank you for reminding me. I actually said those in the lecture, early in the lecture. So Jazakallah khair. But as I said, I'm just saying something that is being said. You know, I personally don't know if he's alive or not. As I said, the ayah makes really sense. It's clear. It's very clear. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ من قبلك الخلد وما جعلنا لبشر. What's that? Surah Al-Anbiya. نعم. وما جعلنا لبشر من قبلك الخلد. That's very clear, right? And as also I said earlier, and as he said again, if he had been alive, he should have followed the Prophet ﷺ. He should have came to the battle of Badr, etc. As I said. So we don't know, Allahu A'lam, but that's a very strong evidence, as I said. Any other questions, inshallah? No? Jazakumullah khairan wa baraka bikum. Let's do dua, inshallah. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma a'tayt, wa qina wasrif 'anna sharra ma qadayt. Innaka taqdi bil haqqi wa innahu la yuqda 'alayk, wa innahu la yadhillu man walayt, wa la ya'izzu man 'adayt. Tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alayt. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحانك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر وجزاكم الله خيرا وبارك.